And MasterCard, particularly Visa, has been having a very, very, very bad week. After effectively capitulating to the 20 most aggrieved Karens on the internet, they are now facing a deluge of negative sentiment. People are calling them and saying, "What the fuck are you doing?" Trying to censor everything. Praise 4chan. Keep going. I think people should keep calling,
We got
too.
a hilarious
Keep calling until they totally stop doing this.
Agreed. They gotta keep calling till they stop. And that's the only way they listen. You become such a pest that they listen. But the only real reason to stop these guys, is to hit them in the wallets. That's the only way they will care. The wallets or jail time. So either they will get a huge... It's kind of hard to hit them in the wallet because of the monopoly. But hit the CEOs. And if you really want to get them, hit the guys who own the stocks. The major stockholders. They're the ones that judge everything the Visa does. Because if the stockholder doesn't want them to do something, they won't do it. Because they get the capital from the stocks that they own. That's kind of a rough outline, but yeah.
We've got a hilarious...
And even that won't be a solution. The solution is to push for legislation to make it to where they can't do it.
Update on the payment processor situation. Yep. Quick context to this. Early on, when Collective Shout went after payment processors to try and get them to
Collective Shout is a literal Karen advocacy group in Australia that complains about things and just literally, it's basically, can I speak to the manager incorporated?
After Steam, and Steam ended up changing their policies over all this stuff, removing certain adult games. You know the story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, people were coming up with ideas to fight back against the payment processors. And one of the ideas that was being shared early on was, for example, as you can see here on our Steam, 5 days ago, how to directly pressure payment processors.
That's right.
If you have a Visa card, go here. Tell Visa you're ticked.
And you have to directly pressure them. Because if you don't directly pressure them...
Yes, you have to directly pressure them. You gotta inundate them with calls over and over again. But the thing is, leadership doesn't get the calls. It's the underlings. The underlings, you and me, we get the calls. And they make the little reports. And they don't... The officers only see the reports. They don't have to deal with the customer interaction.
People that want to censor you will. You don't bring a knife to a gunfight. You can, but you're going to end up dead.
You need to directly pressure them. Be nice, don't be rude. Remember, customer service tech you're talking to didn't make the decision, but we need to stand up against censorship. Mm-hmm. And so some people are sharing their testimonials, if you will, their stories about what happened when they contacted these payment processors, and it seems like this is actually, on some level, working. So this is a good update, and also a hilarious one. So I mentioned there were some testimonials, or however you want to put it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This user saying, Visa card representative yelled at me. I called this number and simply asked about the content guideline. I got, we've been getting thousands of calls. You talked to someone? Who did you call? Other people accepted what I said, so why don't you? And then saying at Visa is cooked. And then we also got this one saying, did what I could today, did some work, called Visa. The man was understanding, put me on hold for 25 minutes. When back, it was a new person who was very tired. I then repeated the whole story, and I could hear the sigh of energy draining when they knew what it was.
Yeah, they really need a law like the airlines, where something should happen if they have constant customers for waiting 25 minutes. Now, in this situation, it's understandable because no, they're doing something wrong. So of course they're going to have all these mass calls. But I'm talking about there was an internet company. They were the only one that did the apartment internets, and you would wait for hours and hours just to talk to someone. And they said they had a callback number. No, they said press like 3 and they'll reach back to you so you don't have to wait in line. They never did. Never did. And you would sit there waiting for hours and hours. And you had to be responsive. Because every 5 minutes, they would say, they would ask for a key input. If you didn't input that key, it would hang up on you. So, that if companies were to do that, I think they should be in trouble.
Leading to this one's crazy. It says, I wish this was a joke, but I got called a predator today by a Visa rep.
That's bullshit. I don't believe it.
Think I just happened to be called that.
Yeah.
Wait, think I just happened to be a call that pushed the woman over. Excuse me. Lodged 2 formal complaints after
Where's
that
the
and spun
recording?
circles on the 2 calls and was about 25 minutes. Why would you get called a predator though?
Probably because they were defending a game that that was viewed.
Yeah, Asmongold's right. They're probably defending a game. A game that the person didn't like. And they, plus all the short views from everything. So, it just, a sorry, y'all, I'm tired. It was just a bad situation all around.
As a predator game.
Frick, dude.
That's the reason
We've also
why.
got this one. Says,
Visa
had a similar
kicked
issue
my
on the phone
dog?
yesterday with Visa.
Wait,
in which
really?
They were hyper aggressive. And the woman even tried
What?
suggesting that I must have been buying illegal content. What? Before launching into her, I'm going to disconnect the call now script.
Uh-oh.
Wait. So, is the implication here that they're being called like predators and buying illegal content because they're fighting back against these restrictions?
That's insane. Just because you don't like something, it's automatic the worst thing possible. How about just basic freedom? The freedom to buy what you want. I mean, you can't. I don't understand the thought process of someone who, if you don't agree with them, they immediately turn to the worst situation possible. I don't understand that. That's insane.
Absolutely. And that's the entire Karen script. It's that if you don't agree with us, you're helping predators. And so it creates a moral high ground.
Seems like the sort of thing like collective
In order to understand how people like this operate, think about the stupidest, most brain-dead, emotionally driven argument that you could possibly imagine. That's what they're using.
would say. Like, I wouldn't expect.
There's a short, YouTube short. I can't remember his name. But he said usually those brain dead people are trying to figure what's wrong with you. Like, are you a bad person this, or you a bad person that? You're like, no, I'm just like basic freedom.
This from
That's it.
people who are just like Visa hotline people. And I kind of feel bad.
This is all bullshit. Just people calling to blast customer service reps of zero power. We need to wait to actually put executives on blast. Oh, no, I think that we should do that, too. Absolutely. But if you just push back against it collectively, I think that's the best option. Sending emails to executives and also to other people in marketing is probably the best option. And then also especially telling them that you're ending service. I think that's another thing. But nothing will solve this problem other than legislation. But this is a nice stop. It's a nice Band-Aid for now, right?
Yeah. Asmongold's right. You have to have regulation right now, because they're just going to come back and do it again in a different format. They got a taste that they can do this. They have the idea now that they can do it, so they're just going to push back. If they may push forward, they may curl back, but either way, they're going to try to do it again. So you have to have regulation that pretty much says, if you're a payment processor, you're a payment processor. If you're a bakery, you're a bakery. You're in the industry that you must stay. You can't be going back and forth. You can't be a baker, or you can't be a grocery store. You can't be a grocery store and deny someone food just because they live in a different part of town. You're a grocery store. You sell food. That's your thing.
On one hand, because like they're just, the
And
employees.
the thing is that the goal with doing this is to make companies afraid to capitulate to advocacy groups. That is the goal. You want to create so you're asking somebody, like, do you want to get your hand cut off or your arm cut off? You want to make sure that making you unhappy is getting your entire arm cut off. And what I mean by that is, you have to create, if you want to change people's behavior and you want people to side with you, you have to create a negative consequence that is so extreme that not going along with you will be detrimental.
See, he's right. That's how you get people to follow the law. Just make it so bad you don't want to do it. But the problem is the companies just use this as an excuse. I mean, where they had 70,000 signatures, and they're going through all this for 70,000. That's a drop in a bucket, y'all. There's 7 billion people on the earth, and they're doing it for 70,000 people because, oops, kids are in danger and the moms are angry. No, they're just doing that because it's an excuse, just so it doesn't seem like they're coming out of left field. Oh, this is awful control. Imagine if they did it by themselves, that they came out actually saying to do it themselves. That was their idea to do this. It would be a worse situation. They're just using the Karens as an excuse. So, Asmongold goes right there, but he's wrong I think he's wrong because they're not doing this to bend the knee. They're doing it because they want the control. MasterCard are billion-dollar companies and monopolies that want control. But it's also whoever's behind MasterCard and Visa, because these companies are owned by like BlackRock, Vanguard, the three major big companies who practically own the world. And what they want to do, they do.
That's what you do. That's how it works.
Who are not responsible for these policy decisions and whatnot, but like they shouldn't
Hold them
be
accountable.
accusing
Yes.
people of being predators and saying they're buying illegal
Fighting
content
fire
and
with
everything.
fire.
My point
Yes.
is that seems like the
Always
sort of thing
fight
you would
fire with
expect
fire.
collective shout to say, right? Like, oh, you're upset with us going after these games, you must be a predator, or you must be buying illegal content or something, some nonsensical point like that. But apparently these people are saying that even some of these Visa hotline people are saying stuff like this to them. Maybe I'm misunderstanding this. I'm just trying to make sense of some of these responses that people are apparently getting. And as written here, the folks applying pressure know that someone at a call center has limited power in a scenario like this. Typically, agents are equipped to handle standard customer issues like payment fraud or credit card loss. But the point is not to enact change through a specific phone call. It's to cause enough disruption that the ruckus theoretically starts costing payment processors money.
Yeah,
it absolutely will.
Absolutely.
It 100% will. And all you have to do is get enough people together and you can do anything that you want.
Exactly.
You just need more people.
Check out Fat Electrician. Trying to think if I did stream with him. He did a thing where town uprised. And since the whole town uprised against this corrupt government official, the official couldn't do anything. He sent the National Guard, FBI, everyone, and these law enforcement were looking for an excuse to arrest the entire town. But they couldn't find any excuse because the entire town was in on it and covering it up. So they couldn't do anything. And this is the point. If everyone's against you, against Visa, we can pressure them to do stuff because we're hitting the wallet. The problem is, again, the monopoly. So the only way that's going to really hurt them is legislation, or, again, I guess legislation is breaking up the monopoly, enforcing them to take other cards and stuff like that. So it's still government. You still have to get government involved. Yes, we hate government. Mainly because they screw up a lot of stuff. You kind of need rules and regulations for dealing with a lot of people. You just do. So it's a necessary evil. So you still need government to get in there and break this company up and make it illegal for them to take away your rights.
Takes us back over to Japanese politician Zenko Kurishita.
Why do these people always target gamers? I don't know. They shouldn't have targeted the gamers, man.
What's
like I said previously, you don't want to target people that are happy in their little corner, especially a mass amount of people who have a lot of free time to play video games, to spend hours and hours, hundreds of hours in a game, and you take that away from them, they're going to have hundreds of hours to come after you. And again, we're just minding our own business, guys. We're just minding our own business. We don't care. The world can be burning. We don't care. But you take our games, we're coming after you. And again, we're vindictive people. We are very, very, very vindictive people. So we can take you out. We'll do things just to get you. Go.
What's written here shows you how Collective Shout went about this, and why this strategy that gamers are now using to go after payment processors is essentially fighting fire with fire. So he says, the Australian organization Collective Shout has been pushing for content restrictions on Steam and itch.io. According to records published on their website, they sent 1,067 emails to payment processors like Visa and MasterCard starting in May.
Yep.
If such a number of emails led to regulations that cost around 20,000 adult games to disappear, with reports also indicating that these games were removed from the libraries of users who had previously purchased them,
which
it
is,
can only be
again,
described
stop
as a
killing
serious
games,
threat
right?
to
That's
creators
another
and
reason
users.
why it's important.
Even though there might have been many times more people who felt those works were fine or liked them, what about the effort put in by these creators? They are unilaterally decided without consideration.
Yep.
This asymmetry, along with the lack of transparency and information disclosure, is also a significant issue. And he cites Collective Shout's
fucking based. Absolutely fucking based Japanese. If the Japanese want to stop this, why don't they just make a law where you can't do this?
They can, but it would only be in the country. And I'm pretty sure most of the major market is US. The US is a big major market. And so if they make a law, it would be only in Japan. They're trying to keep the US in play. And again, they're also trying to nip this in the bud before it gets worse. Because this is, as we've seen it, this is becoming a global censorship of the web. Asmongold already did a video about, he's saying that it's going to be censored. Sooner or later, you're going to have some sort of government global ID to access these sites. And Yes. He's right. He's right. He's so right. The-
It's so simple. Just say either process the payments or get out of the country. They are? That's what I would do. And I would apply the law to one of them. And that way it's like, okay, you either follow this law or you get kicked out and your competition gets the entire market share. And that way you can effectively prisoner's dilemma both of them into doing that.
That's a good idea. Yeah, just kick him out. And the part, yeah, and then you show that you're serious when you kick the other out, and then the guard. And then if the other one says, "Well, now you gotta give us, you gotta do it to someone," you just make your own credit card company. The only problem, you have to have the money to do that. Of course, Japan's a nation, so they probably just make their own national credit card and backed it by Japanese currency.
Their own website here.
Be very, very, very easy
they
to do.
outline some of their strategy as we just went over. And as mentioned, the point to this is, well, if Collective Shout sent around 1,000 emails for that period of a few months or whatever it was.
That's actually doing something. Visa doesn't care about these
the
calls.
internet can do a lot more than that. The internet can do a lot more than that, man. So it's kind of hilarious seeing these payment processors bending the knee to Collective Shout.
And also, like Collective Shout, they're complaining that they're getting harassed. Has it ever occurred to you that harassing a bunch of other people by taking away their content because you've decided that it violates your own personal viewpoint? So let me get this straight.
Yeah.
You've decided to be the judge, jury, and executioner of what should and shouldn't be acceptable. And now you're surprised that other people are disagreeing with you, and they're being the judge, jury, and executioner of whether you should be harassed or not. Well, that's not good. I don't think harassment is good ever. But if you don't want to have trouble, don't start trouble.
Exactly. If you start
why are you starting trouble
back
and then crying about it? That's it.
If you start something, expect to get trouble back. Everything has an equal to opposite reaction. If you start sticking your nose in someone's business, expect someone to stick your nose into your business.
And now it's like, oh, really? Okay, 1K emails and however many phone calls that these Australian feminists may have sent. Well, good luck now with the internet coming after you.
Yep.
Now, as I said before, I think it's completely reasonable to speculate.
Don't start nothing, won't be nothing. Exactly. These people want to be able to tell everybody else what to do, but the moment that people start pushing back against them, they act like victims. Seems like the internet's making them earn it.
The executives at these payment processors actually have no issue
Shouldn't have done it.
with Collective Shout trying to get them to do this stuff. What I mean more specifically is they want to try and abuse their power and see what they can get away with. So I don't think the whole Collective Shout thing worked simply because they annoy these payment processors. No, I think these payment processors also saw this as an opportunity to test how much power and control they have, right? So simply annoying them back doesn't mean that they may start operating in a different way when those executives literally want to try to control the internet. But the point still stands that using the strategy of fighting fire with fire and clogging up their logistics can still harm the company. Here's a testimonial.
It's absolutely detrimental. I heard from a Blizzard employee, this is a different thing. Do you guys remember, for any of the old viewers, the day that Blizzard viewers?
It is detrimental. And the CEOs of these companies are hoping this goes away. They're just biding the time.
The day that Blizzard restored my blessed battle gear of undead slaying on stream, it was not pirate. Do you remember that? Yes. They received such a massive deluge of restoration requests after that it was a legitimate problem. Yes. So I can tell you 100% that this absolutely, this totally fucks up the system. Yeah, it sets a precedent. Yeah, of course.
On Steam 4 days
Pirate's
ago.
dad.
This is
Oh,
about
yeah, 'cause his
email.
dad
so
worked
a
at
bit
Blizzard
different from the
too,
ones we
right?
read earlier regarding phone call responses. Says, so I got a response from Visa.
Yeah.
Reads, hello, Redacted. Thank you for reaching out and sharing your perspective. As a global company, we follow the laws and regulations everywhere we do business. While we explicitly prohibit illegal
You're the reason it's
activity on
automated?
our network,
Something
we are
else.
equally committed to protecting illegal commerce. If a transaction is legal, our policy is to process the transaction.
I don't know
We do
about
not make
that one.
moral judgments on legal.
Legal. These are legal games that are being sold, and you're not accepting payment. So you're wrong by your own.
Purchases made by consumers.
Lying.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. The,
Yeah, we
the
saw
OP
this
goes
yesterday.
on and calls that out too. We'll get to that though. Visa does not moderate content sold by merchants, nor do we have what? They really saying that Visa does not moderate content sold by merchants, nor do we have
Made-up
visibility into
policies,
the
yeah.
specific goods or services sold when we process a transaction. When a legally operating merchant faces an elevated risk of legal activity, we require enhanced safeguards for the banks supporting those merchants. For more
Yeah,
information
see, this
on
is
Visa,
what they do. They operate in like very, very broad terms, like enhanced safeguards, elevated risk. Those merchants, like it's intentionally opaque in order for them to use it.
It may be opaque, but nothing says security and illegal. Nothing these games have done is illegal. They're just not safe for work. They're not safe for work. So that doesn't even apply to this situation.
To push their agenda.
policies, please visit our network integrity page on visa.com,
Yep.
hyperlinked. Thank you for writing, Visa Webmaster. And as mentioned, the OP calls this out. I guess I will just remove myself for a second. It reads, so basically their response was the biggest gaslighting I've ever seen. Talk about
Yeah, they're
trying
lying. That's all it is. They're just lying.
to block the sun with one finger. Never heard that one before. It's funny.
Yeah.
They completely deny moderating content even when there's an overabundance of evidence. Anyways, we should keep on pressuring the issue.
Yes.
Pressing the issue. I'll share the template I used on the first comment and the Visa website so you can give them your regards. Just remember to be polite but firm. Also, the template has been modified by me to not have invalid characters and have enough characters to send without issue, but is based on a template another user shared. Now, hypothetically, guys,
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. Never be abusive, never yell at them, never do anything that would put yourself in a situation that would get you in trouble, but be firm, insistent, and direct.
Exactly. Do not give them ammunition. Just be firm, polite, direct. If you go at them yelling and screaming, they'll just filter you away or call cops on you. If you're just firm, direct, and polite, there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can't retaliate against you. This is about speaking up in a safe manner. For example, Rosa Parks. A lot of people stood up just like Rosa Parks did. But Rosa Parks did it in a respectful, calm manner so they couldn't really get her.
I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not saying it's
And
a good idea, but
relentless.
like, if the single goal is to just like clog up their logistics and make things more complicated for the company and all that, that means you could even call them and just like make up some completely like insane story about like a fake fraud case that happened or something.
The problem with that is that they can't connect that to, I don't do this, by the way, don't do this. They can't connect that to the action.
Like, you don't even need to actually mention that it's about all this stuff, referring to, you know, like the payment process or censorship and whatnot.
Yeah.
You could be like,
Don't
yeah,
false
dude,
report,
my
yeah.
freaking dog was like chewing up my credit card, and then I was trying to take it from his mouth, and like my hand slipped after I like pulled it out. Oh, that sounded kind of weird, but but the credit card like went flying, and some freaking like homeless person picked it up and ran off, and I couldn't catch him. And now I think
My
I'm
friend had a bunch of debt with an apartment company, and we did this to the apartment debt collection company like 10 times. And eventually they sold his debt to some other third party, and he never paid it off.
worried that there's a bunch of
Yeah.
fake, purchases. And then they're like, okay, what's your information so we can help you? It's like, dude, I don't remember. It's on the
Bro,
card.
what?
Like, I don't
Yeah,
have the card
that's how it
anymore.
is.
Like, you got to help me, though. You can just, like, make up the craziest
Ramble
stuff.
story for 2,000 hours.
Oh, my gosh. Maybe that's a bad
Yeah,
idea,
just
though.
waste your time. Yeah, don't
I'm
do
not
that.
suggesting anyone actually do that.
Don't
I'm just
do
saying,
that.
though. And so back on the Reddit thread, someone basically said, like, yeah, man, all you got was a generic response, but I appreciate
Yeah.
the effort. And the OP responds to that saying, honestly, I expected nothing, or a generic non-response email about how much they appreciate the feedback and do their best to work it out or something along those lines. What I didn't expect was such a blatant gaslighting attempt / straight up lie. Anyway, nothing new under the sun.
I think that wasn't. They just copy paste from like a wiki article from Visa. Big companies have their internal wiki pages. May not be wiki, maybe Oracle or some internal wiki-like thing. And what they do is that was basically a copy and paste answer. They probably just searched up some article and copy paste that reply.
And I just thought the community might get a kick out of it. And I'll leave it there. Just thought some of this stuff was pretty amusing, and I hope you guys got a laugh out of it, despite some bad news lately.
I think that we 100% need to keep up the pressure. But again, the only real solution to this is legislation. Because the moment that a big country like Japan or America or the EU makes a ruling on this, the company will have to operate based off of that ruling in the entire world, basically. So whenever you have really big countries that you're doing business in that change their rules, it changes the way the entire company has to function.
There is some wholesomeness
they
with
can't be
people
above the
fighting
law.
back together,
Yeah, so just
fighting
change
back
the
against
law.
these corrupt companies and these corpos.
Yep.
So yeah, once again, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. Consider liking and or subscribing if you enjoyed my coverage. I'll see you in the comments here and in the next one.
Yeah, I'm totally fucking advocating for this. I absolutely 100% think people should call and let them know how much they don't like this. The best thing to do, though, is to call the executives and to contact the people that are in leadership, because they're the ones that can actually make the decisions. A random customer service rep.
Yes. Contact the executives. Email them. Because they will change. If they get infuriated, these guys, the CEOs, are used to getting their way and having people bow down to them. If you infuriate them enough, they will take action to stop the irritation, because they live lives not irritated, because they're so used to everyone bowing down to them. I know. I've worked with CEOs and high level executives. It's their way or the highway, and if they don't like you or you do something wrong, you're gone. They fire you because they have the power. And it sucks. So yes, irritate them, and results will happen.
Representative. I mean, it's better than nothing, sure, but like at the end of the day, it's not really going to solve any problems, and it's not really going to do anything. And so that's really what I think in general. And
So don't just call Visa, call your state. If you're in the US, call your state and congressman. Your state representative and congressman. Tell them you want a law, that you're a voter, and you want a law that stops this. So definitely not just Visa, but the state and congressman. And that's all, baby. Yeah.